Today we're going to discuss household budgets. So, minimum household budget. A minimum household budget includes all of the expenses that are necessary to meet your family's needs. A household budget will vary depending on where you live and how many people live in your household. So we have needs versus wants, okay? So these are different categories. But when we figure out our budget, that is based on needs. So some basic needs, you might have rent or house payment. Okay, you have to pay for your place to live. You may have a water bill, your electricity bill, groceries, food cost. So some wants that you may want. So something over here that is going to be for wants. So these are things that we don't necessarily need. They're nice extra stuff, but you don't need them for basic survival. So things like eating at restaurants. So eating out at a restaurant or entertainment. Okay, that would be things like going to movies, right? Or like roller coasters, theme parks, so bowling, all those other, we're going to say just parks right there, so like theme parks. Savings accounts. So it's good to save, but you need to go ahead and make sure you meet your financial needs monthly. Sometimes saving is an added extra. Cell phones, depending on how it is. So kids needing a cell phone is normally a want versus an adult needing a cell phone because they don't have a house phone anymore. That would be more on a need, but cell phones. And then vacations. Okay, those are all different examples of wants. So we're going to look at this information here and going to kind of figure out what somebody's salary needs to be. So remember, salary is how much money you're going to make from a job. So based on the information provided, calculate the annual salary that each household must have to fulfill the family's budget. So a few things. Remember the word annual right here. This means yearly. Okay, and then salary. Remember, salary is money from a job. So, if I have a family of 4 living in Dallas, okay, their rent is $1,200 a month. Their food costs, they spend $800 for groceries. Transportation is $300, so I'm not quite sure if that's, maybe that's bus passes, maybe that's, their car payment. I'm not quite sure what it is, but they just call it transportation costs because they do need to get to work. Utilities, so utilities means like all of the bills combined for the house. So this would be your water bill, your electric bill. Those are all considered utilities for $250. Insurance, so they're going to have to probably have car insurance, health insurance, possibly renter's insurance because they rent, so they do have an insurance bill every month. That is $600. And then taxes, they're going to go ahead and pay taxes, and their tax bill is $500. So we're going to go ahead and figure out what their monthly total is. And then we're going to figure out what their annual salary needs to be to cover this monthly. So the first thing is I need to take all these monthly expenses, add them up to go ahead and get the monthly total here. And when I add them all up, I get $3,650. So that is the monthly total. Now to figure out the annual salary, that the minimum annual salary, so the smallest amount that they need to make for the year to make sure they pay this every month. So a couple things I need to remember. How many months are in a year? So I have 12 months in a year. So if this is monthly, I have to take this number, 3650, and times it by 12. And that will help me figure out the annual salary somebody needs to make. So if we do the math, 2 times 0 is 0, 2 times 5 is 10, carry the 1, 2 times 6 gives me 12, plus 1 is 13, carry the 1, 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7. Now I'm changing my color because I'm moving on to the next. I'm going to cross these out because I don't use them anymore. Cross that number out, I already used it. Put a 0 place value. 0 times 1 is 0. 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 6 is 6. 1 times 3 is 3. Put a line here, add them up. So zeros add up to 0, 5, 6, 7, 8. 7 plus 6 is 13. Carry the 1. 1 plus 3 is 4. So the family will need $43,800. That is how much money they need annually every year in order to make all of these payments every month. Now we're going to do the same thing with the married couple in Tyler, Texas. So their rent's only $800. Their food cost is a little bit cheaper at $350. Transportation is $600. Utilities are only $150. Insurance is $300, and taxes are $350. So first I need to figure out the monthly total. So I add up all of their expenses, and I get $2,550 a month. Now, in order to figure out their annual salary that they need in order to make that, I times that number by 12, because remember there are 12 months in a year, and I get $30,600. So some things I want you guys to consider is, why would a family of 4 in Dallas need to make more money every month than just a married couple living in Tyler? So notice how there is about $13,000 difference in the amount of money they need to cover the monthly budget. A few things to consider is the family of 4 has 4 people instead of a married couple who just has 2, right? So children and other people in the house, you might need a bigger house. You're going to have more food costs. Also, the location. So Dallas, Texas might be more expensive to live than it is to live in Tyler, Texas. Use the information about the Terry family in the table below to answer the questions. So, first question, what is the total amount that the family needs to earn each month in order to meet their basic needs? So let's go ahead and highlight what we're looking for. So I need, what is the total amount that they need to earn each month in order to meet their basic needs? Okay, so that's what I'm looking for. Well, just like we did on the previous slide, we know we need to take up all of the budget and add it up, right? Here's their budget listed. So their mortgage, so remember, mortgage is a payment on a house to a bank. food costs, transportation, the utilities for their house, insurance, and taxes. So we add all of this up. We add it all up and we find out that they need $4,000 a month, okay? That is the total amount that they need to earn each month in order to pay all those bills. So that's the minimum. Now, if they earn $33,000 per year, Mr. Terry earns $33,000 per year. How much does Mrs. Terry need to contribute on a monthly basis? So I got a couple parts there, and I want you guys to pay attention to. So they told me how much he earns per year. Remember, per year, that is with 12 months. Now I need to figure out how much does Mrs. Terry need to contribute. So how much does her job need to pay on a monthly basis? So first I probably need to figure it out on 12, or go ahead and divide it by 12 months, and then figure out how much we need to go ahead and Mrs. Terry needs to contribute. So let's grab a different color here. Okay, so if I have $33,000 a year, I want to divide that by 12 months, right? Because I need to find out how much per month does Mr. Terry get. So if I divide that out, we get 2,750. So he has 2,750 a month from, let's say, Mr. Okay, they need, how much do they need? Well, we just figured out they need 4,000. So 4,000 a month minus 2,750. How much now will Mrs. Terry need to make it her job in order to cover the monthly budget? So subtract that out and we find out that she needs to make $1,250 per month to go ahead and to cover the monthly budget. This next question takes it one step further, okay? So if Mrs. Terry gets a part-time job, working 20 hours a week for 4 weeks a month, then how much does Mrs. Terry need to make an hour? So let's use the previous question to know what we need to make here. So she needs this $1,250 every month, right? And she is going to work 20 hours per week for 4 weeks. So she's working 20 hours per week, and I'm going to times that by the 4 weeks she's going to work. And then I'm going to times that by X because I don't know how much she needs to make an hour. X is going to be how much she needs to make an hour. So we'll go ahead and do some math here, and we will solve for X, which is going to tell us how much she needs to make every hour in order for it to equal 1,250. So 4 times 20 gives me 80. I'm going to bring down my X. 80X equals 1,250. Now I want to get X by itself. 80X is 80 times X. I want to do an inverse operation. So I want to divide this side by 80. Divide this side by 80. So it leaves me X alone. 80 goes into 100 or 1,250 how many times? 80 can't go into 1, 80 can't go into 12, but 80 can go into 125. It goes in 125 once, 80, and then I subtract. That gives me 45. Bring the 0 down. 80 goes into 450. 5 times. That gives me 400. I subtract, it gives me $1.50, put a decimal, bring down another 0. 80 goes into 500. How many times? Goes in 6 times, which equals 480. I'll write it over here. I ran out of room. And then subtract, and I get 20. I will have to bring down another 0. So it'd be 200. 80 goes into 200. How many times? 2.5 times. So the next number is going to be 5. So I keep going out. Now remember, I'm working with money. So since I'm working with money, I have the decimal here. So I have $15, but I have 3 numbers after the decimal. So money stops here. But if we don't round up here for the money, she will be short. So she needs to make $15.63 every hour in order to meet the financial needs per hour.